Welcome to Tabletop Arcanum. My name is Justin, and I'm here once again bringing you an unboxing. Today we have the Arkham Horror, this way, Arkham Horror 3rd Edition Under Dark Waters expansion. This is the first big box expansion for the Arkham Horror 3rd Edition board game. So let's take a look at what's inside. Like I said, it is the big box expansion. It is just about as big, about the same actually. I think it's actually exactly the same as the 3rd edition board game. So it is on the bigger side here. It's not the first expansion, but this is the first one that we're getting quite a bit of content in. So, get this shrink wrap off and quit cracking inside here. So we have first off our rule book. This has lovely art all throughout it, explains some of the new stuff, and so we're getting new neighborhood tiles, mystery tiles, travel tiles, 8 new investigators, 4 new scenarios, some extra tokens, some extra mythos tokens, assets, monsters. We have some new rules related to the new neighborhoods going in here, mysteries, terror, which are going to be new features of the game, monsters, a little bit more explanation on the archive, some detail on adding tiles, modifying the monster cup. And then this was a nice thing that I did enjoy seeing, was a game mode and clarification, because the game's been out for almost 2 years, and so we got a little bit more clarification on how to spawn a clue, monster cup, what those mean, searching for specific traits, targets that affect certain targets. But in the game modes, a story mode, a challenge mode, and the inevitable mode, which is a series of escalating difficulty games, trying to get as many runs as you can to see how far you can get. So I'm kind of excited personally to try that one out myself. Quick reference in the back. So now this is Philip D. Henry leading the Arkham Horror board game team. So this is kind of after departure of the original designers. So we got a little bit different stuff going on in it. So, and that's why I think it's going to feel a little different. It's going to feel a little bit more refreshing. We'll see if that's any good. So let's take a look at our punch board. We got investigator, 2 sheets. So tile 1, some extra health, our investigators, the end caps, Innsmouth Village. This looks really cool art. Nice blue tones on that one. Kingsport Harbor, got North Point and Lighthouse there. These are the rail stations. Oh, look, a Blink Mythos token. Those are always nice to see. It's always a hallmark of an Arkham game when nothing happens and you're happy about it. Taking a crack at the big sheets. These are going to be the investigators and the scenarios. So first up, Ashcan Pete with companion Duke. Now we'll take a close-up of that. We'll slide him a little bit this way. The camera's not really good setup for the oversized cards like this, but most of it's art on the side. So you got Ashcan Pete 7/5 with a 3/1/3/3/3. So other than influence, Ashcan's doing pretty good. Focus limit of 3, which is actually really impressive too. On the back, he's a primarily survivor role, and more importantly, he gets Duke, $1, and either Pete's guitar or the Wanderer trait. Joining the fray is also Carson Sinclair. He debuted, let's see, Ashcan Pete is a OG 2nd edition investigator from Fantasy Flight. I want to say Ashcan may have been in 1st edition. I'm not as familiar with that edition myself, so cannot say one way or the other, but I know he's at least from the 2nd edition from that Fantasy Flight took over. Um, Carson here came around with Mansions of Madness 2nd Edition. Overall balance on health sanity, and kind of a balance on his skills. So 2, 3, 3, 2, 3. Now he's also got a focus limit of 3. On the back here, though, $2 acquisition, and then either as you wish or prepared for anything. He is a seeker primary and a survivor secondary. I should probably go over Ashcan's ability with Scavenge. So after you perform a gather resource action, you can gain an item from the printed value of 2 or less from the display. So, you know, pick things out of the trash for Ashcan. Beat there. Carson, he's quietly indispensable. So once per round, when an investigator in any space is performing a test, you may spend 1 focus token to allow them to re-roll a die. If you do, recover 1 sanity. So, sanity recovery is nice. Charlie Kane. He's showing up in Arkham 3rd edition now. So he has a 4-8 combination. His focus is equal to the number of allies you have. So that would be 0 to start with without flipping over the back of a sheet and seeing. And let's take a look here. He's a 4-8. He has 2 lore, 4 influence, 3 2/2. Not bad. Flipping him over. He's a rogue first, seeker second. You know, politicians being those rogues that they are. He has the voice of authority, $2, and either Bonnie Walsh, who I'm going to guess is his personal assistant, and an ally, so he can reach that focus, or calling in favors. Now Charlie can either, as an action, spend $2, this is called Task Force, and then have an additional dollar for each ally you have to gain 1. Spend $2 and an additional dollar for each ally you have to gain 1 ally. So the more people you have with you, the more expensive that'd be, but that's probably not going to be a problem. And then leadership, each time one of your allies is discarded, suffer 1 direct horror. That's going to be the painful part, collecting allies and then losing them. Father Mateo. Father Mateo is from Mansion's 2nd edition as well originally. So Father Mateo here has the 5-7 split on health sanity, focus limit of 3, 3 lore, 3 influence, 1 observation, 2 strength, 4 will, memento mori. So once per round, when resolving a test, you may spend 1 remnant to reroll 1 or all of your dice, and then also he has Blood of the Martyrs. So after you suffer 1 or more damage, gain 1 remnant. That's actually pretty nice. Considering the game's going to beat you up anyway, so. And then you can get remnants and spend remnants. He is a mystic and a guardian, and he's going to have his Signum Citrus, Symptom Curus, $2, 1 remnant, and then either hold back the darkness or holy water. So that's 4. Number 5, Patrice Hathaway. Now Patrice is not OG, but she was definitely in 2nd edition. Same thing with Charlie Kane and Ashcan. So 5-7 split, 3 focus. Kind of a little all over the board on her skills. So 3-2, 3-1, 4. Good on will, not good at strength. And through the eyes of the Watcher, that is each time a doom is placed on or moved from the scenario sheet, you can focus a skill of your choice, even if it exceeds your focus limit. That will be nice, because you're going to be, like most scenarios, you move that doom around plenty. And now Patrice here is a Mystic Seeker combination, as you can already see. She will have her Violin, Captive Melody, $3, and then either you gain the Ominous Dreams, and you have the option to gain Ominous Dreams and shuffle the Watcher into the monster deck. We'll take a look at that in a little bit there. Silas Marsh. He is the sailor. He is Definitely been around in most of the Arkham games at this point, I think. I don't know if there's one that he is missing from anymore. And he has a strong physical, very weak mental at the 4, lore 1, influence 3, observation 3, strength 3, will 3, so not that bad. He just doesn't have a lot in his brain corner. Focus limit of 2, and has tainted blood once per round. When a ready monster activates, you can choose to any investigator to be its prey. If that monster engages you, recover 2 sanity. That's a 50% sanity recovery. That's big. Now he is a survivor first, rogue second, has a fishing net $3, has the either adventurous spirit or flannel shirt. Now I've never seen Silas with a shirt, so the fact that you can actually put a shirt on him is a little surprising to me. Now this one is Stella Clark. Now Stella is a new investigator to the Arkham universe. She was created and just came out into the LCG card game not a few weeks back. So if you're watching this, we do have our unboxing of those packs, so you can see her deck from the Investigator decks on our YouTube channel. Now Stella here is a 5/7 split on the health sanity, and then 3/2/3/2/3 right down the middle. Definitely more angled on the mental side of things, and her sanity shows that. She has on the job, so the beginning of your first action of the game, at the beginning of your first action phase of the game, you may move directly to any space. Now, normally you have to start at the unstable space or the home based on the scenario, so she can actually reposition at the start of the game, which is could be very, very powerful depending on how that first clue and doom seed goes out. Now, taking a look here, her main ability, let's take a look at that. Her main ability is delivery route after you move 3 or more spaces during a single round. Focus the skill of your choice. Now, Stella here has the delivery truck $3 in either Snow Nor Rain or Called by the Mist, and she is a survivor. She also has a very cool story lore connected to her that is the letter carrier of Arkham. She will always, whenever she finishes her route, will have that final letter addressed to her at the bottom of her delivery bag, regardless of what's going on. Finally, last new investigator in this set is not necessarily a new investigator in general, but Zoe here. Zoe here is a chef who, God talks to her. And with Zoe, you get a little bit of a physical, more mental capacity with a 5/7 split. Definitely good on the lore, definitely good on strength, really good at will, not so great at the influence or observation, but that's kind of expected for Zoe. She's definitely more guardian aspects. Oh, get that just back a little bit. Now, Zoe has the Grace of St. George, so when you defeat a monster, you may remove 1 doom from your space or recover 1 health. And answer the call. After you defeat a monster with the Elite, you can become blessed. She is definitely a monster killer, and in the card game, she definitely struck heavily in there. I do see that you were asking if I've played this solo, how do I like it? I do enjoy it solo. I prefer with multiplayer, mostly because there's a little bit more like give and take, a little more strategy between 2 people. If I remember the solo rules right, you have to actually play like 2 investigators and kind of double hand it. It's not the end of the world, but there's a lot to manage when it comes to the Mythos phase and stuff like that. So it's nice to have that spread out across a couple players, so you're not playing everything by yourself. But it's not a terrible solo game. I've played much worse from there. Now Zoe has a chef's knife, $3, and either the cross or enchant weapon. And Guardian first, Mystic second. So she would be a fun one to pair up with someone more men or physically. She's going to be a physical powerhouse, even though she doesn't have the health. She does have the ability to recover from that, which is going to be kind of key here. Now we have 3 scenarios. Based on here, you kind of get a first one would be the Tyrant of Ruin. This is going to be more of an Innsmouth Dark Wave sort of story surrounding around Devil's Reef and the Deep Ones. So we're going to be very keyed in on that. Without actually digging deeply into the archive and the stories, we're not going to really be able to see too much, but this is one of those first maps that you're actually going to have a separate section where you have to travel from one side of the board to the other, which is a kind of a feature in this particular expansion. So we're actually not only getting 2 new tiles, but then we're going to be able to mix and match and use those a little bit differently. Which, having played a lot of 3rd edition already, I'm kind of excited to see a little bit more variety in the maps because of that. The second scenario is going to be the Pale Lantern. This is going to be more of an intrigue scenario, surrounding by the Lantern Club, which is a society, social group sort of thing going on in Kingsport itself. So the rubbing elbows with that. I think this one might have a little bit more of an intrigue, what's going on story. We saw one of those already when it came down to dealing with the Silver Twilight Lodge. So I'm actually kind of curious about this one. Again, another kind of I'll actually rotate that because it's a wider scenario. So you have 3 sections and then 2 isolated on the other side here. And there we go. Next, 3rd scenario that shows up is Ithaqa's Children. Now, Ithaqa's Children here is, Ithaqa himself is one of those ancient ones, Winds of Winter, Windwalker, always brings cold and doom and a permafrost kind of with him. So I'm guessing if it plays like most other Ithaqua scenarios or situations, we're going to have problems moving around the city with that. And talk about an interesting layout for the map. Check that one out. It is all over the place. We have 5 core, 6, 7. That's 7 tiles. That's probably the biggest map we've seen. Yeah, I want to say this is probably the biggest map layout that we've had. So man, these are all going to be excited to play. I'm a little bummed that right around now it would be when I would be planning to go to Arkham Knights, which this would have been showcased there. Probably this would have been showcased or released early at Gen Con if Gen Con was not canceled this year. But Arkham Knights is definitely a lot of fun. I hope everything's in a better position to bring it back next year, but I'm just going to have to cross my fingers at this point with that. Now, 4th scenario is the Dreams of Relay. So this is going to be very Cthulhu-esque invoking scenario. We already had a Cthulhu scenario out of the core box, but this one's going to be a little bit more interesting in that sense. Now, start at St. Mary's. Investigator places doom in a space, suffers horror. That's never good. And I saw this, and this was kind of interesting. It is a tiny map. Now, that doesn't mean this may not change, because it does have these travel spots on it. So I'm wondering if this is going to be something that kind of evolves as you play the scenario, but this is the initial setup right here. And the rest of the setup on there. All right, so that's the big stuff. That's the scenarios. That's that. Um, I'm going to take a look at these tiny deck cards first, because this is where Ashcan Pete has his cards. So let's get a close-up on his. So we get Duke, Pete's Guitar, and the Wanderer. Now that was the choice. Is it you can either have, you automatically get Duke, but Pete's Guitar and the Wanderer are your choices. Now for Carson, Anticipation, As You Wish, and Prepared for Anything. Prepared for Anything is one of there is using the art for Versatile from the card game, which is a very fun card. So Prepared for the Worst is a guardian card, and then Prepared for Anything isn't, but that's using the art for Versatile. You know, I'm not surprised we've seen recycled art from Fantasy Flight plenty times. Ithaqua, I've seen that art in almost every Arkham game. I think that one was first seen in Eldritch, not Eldritch. Well, maybe it was Eldritch. I'm trying to blank on what they used for Ithaqua in Elder Sign. Now Charlie Kane had Bonnie and Walsh as an option, and there she is. That is his personal assistant, and that is an ally. But then Calling in Favors and Voice of Authority are also cards for him. And let's see, who else? I'm going to take a look at it. I'm going to try not to take a look at everybody, because we're going to be here all like an hour doing that. I want to keep this a little not necessarily the short side, but on the shorter side. Now I'm going to have to come up with a new storage solution, because right now I've got little deck boxes stuffed in there, and I got everything stuffed in the core main box, but this might end up being a 2-box storage solution finally, until I come up with something a little bit bigger. We have several new monsters, which is very nice. Let's take a look at. Well, that guy's just creepy in general. The Prowling Abductor, you know, he's up to no good. One of the guys that I'm going to guarantee you is coming from the Ithaqua scenario, an Icebound Captive. We got Guardian Beast, we got some fun stuff in here. And what's going to be more interesting is using some of this, and you got like, some old scenarios will use alt cultists, so even some of these monsters who, like this guy's a human cultist, will show up using some of these keywords. Dreaming Deep Ones, Moon Beast, Bianchi, we got a new Bianchi. So I'm actually kind of interested in seeing how some of this actually incorporates and boosts your older scenarios too. Okay. A lot of new assets. The tarot cards are starting to show up. These have been in a couple of the games now. This one's that one I've seen a bunch of times. Artwise, the Golden Crown. Now the Golden Crown might be new, but definitely have seen it come across as it's the High Priest in Mansion 2nd Edition. And I want to say it's a unique item in Arkham 2nd Edition. I can't remember which one though, but I feel like I've seen that art a few places. Nothing wrong with it. Always been kind of a fan of a lot of the Arkham art, so with very few exceptions, I'm happy to see it. With very few exceptions, I'm happy to see it kind of get recycled and shoved around again, because, yeah. Got a pair of new spells coming into play. So these are Astral Projection, Hunter's Insight. Got a couple new asset items, including a baseball bat. And look, baseball bat's one thing, the encyclopedia is another. More importantly, is never forget your ground pepper. Pair of new allies, so Prudence and Turin, who are actually kind of new to me. I don't know if we've seen those guys before. And a couple new double-sided cards. I'm not going to show off the back, but we have a new condition called Tainted. And not one, but two new dark packs. So good luck discovering what those are. Hopefully they're just as fun or clever as the dark packs from the rest of the game. Because dark packs, if you take one, it's okay for a bit, and then all of a sudden it's not okay anymore. Now, taking a look at some of the big stuff. Got the archive cards here, which go all the way to like 106 archive cards now. That's a lot. So we're getting 75 to 106. Just saying, not sure where. This first scenario is probably where these two are coming into play, but that's scary. Two really big names, Mother Hydra and Father Dagon, and they are not going to be too happy about investigators in Arkham messing around with stuff. Now, the other thing that we're going to have here is, in here, we've got 4 new Southside cards, 4 new Northside cards, or sorry, 3 new Northside cards, 4 Miskatonic Universities, 5 Innsmouth Village, 5 Innsmouth Shore, East Town gets 3, Uptown gets 5, Miskatonic Merchant District gets 4, Kingsport Harbor gets 5, Downtown gets 4, Central Kingsport gets, looks like 5. So some of the old ones, well, we got some more Southside here, some more Rivertown. Okay, well, now that we're repeating, yeah, I should have looked at these a little bit better. These are all the scenario ones. So these are all the story. Should have realized that with the distribution as it is. So you can actually see, like, yes, they're using some old ones and new ones, but those are the ones that clues are going to spawn, and we're going to find out from there. Let me see if, so there's going to be 4 sets of those total. There we go. There's the rest of those. So that's all scenario cards. So only the scenario that those are attached to will those come in. Now for regular, this is what I thought I was looking at, but I was wrong. Pair of Uptown, pair of Southside, pair of Rivertown, pair of Northside, pair of Miskatonic, pair of Merchant, pair of Easttown, pair of Downtown, and those are all pre-established tiles. But then Central Kingsport gets a suite of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 new encounters for them. And we get encounters for travel routes, which are going to be new locations that you can potentially sit on. And those are either county roads, ferry terminals, or train platforms, depending on which one you're sitting on. Strange High House gets some encounter sets. Devil Reefs gets some encounter sets. Those are usually unique locations, which I'm going to guess some of the scenarios will incorporate. And then chunks of new locations. These are for Kingsport Harbor, Innsmouth Village, Innsmouth Shore. 3, looks like 3 headlines four headlines, four new headlines. Now, headlines are the weirdest part of the game. They kind of count as a round counter, but you only get 13 of them per thing. So this is 40 to 43. So you only get 13, and there's 39 of them already for this expansion. I don't know. I feel like with how they come out in the Mythos bag, they come out either really fast or it's like back to back, or they don't seem to like pace the headlines nicely. It'd be nice if like every time you reset, every time you like reset the Mythos bag, a headline would spawn. Something like that I think might be a little bit more paced and interesting as far as the turns go. Now, other things we got going on are the terror cards, which are associated with the terror tokens. And then a couple more. These look like the White Sail ship. Visions of the Moon. Close enough if you're familiar with the lore of Kingsport there. So that's everything you get in this box. It's a lot of stuff. MSRP I think was $54. Yeah, $54.95 US. So already, in my opinion, there is a lot in this box. I feel like there's, with 4 new scenarios, 8 new investigators alone, that definitely helps that price point out. I'll have to play the scenarios to find out if I think these scenarios are worth the value. But the fact that the original game came with 4 scenarios, this is doubling the core game. So if you have this in the core game and not the first expansion, you're doubling what the core game is giving you right out of this box. So I think that's going to be well enough for most people. Tell us what you think in the comments. If you are seeing this live, thank you for joining us. If you are seeing this recorded through through YouTube, thank you for watching. We are on most podcasts with Tabletop Arcanum. Make sure you like and subscribe and all those fun things. And I got that last question. Yes, this would be very much like you can mix and match. So you can use these characters with the original core box of the board game, or you can use old characters with new stuff. Very much like the LCG, it doesn't really restrict you in that sense. So thanks for watching. I will be signing off now, so enjoy.